You know, now that I think about it, that massive blue lake you see while skiing in Tahoe is really symbolic of a few things. It's a giant icy slap in the face reminding you that you could have been water skiing somewhere warm, maybe sipping margaritas on a beach, but no. You chose to scrape down an ice sheet at 10,000 feet, dodging tech bro Jerry's and their GoPros and praying they don't implode before your knees do. The lake serves as a constant reminder that drowning in its frigid waters might actually be more pleasant than standing in your 1,000th lift line of the day. And then, of course, there's the real kicker. The lake mirrors your own reflection. Yep, you see that? That's your face, looking like a soggy idiot, wondering how you ended up here instead of literally anywhere else. The universe gave you options, my friend, and you picked Tahoe. And today I'm here to remind you, loud and clear, that out of all the places you could have gone, you willingly chose to come to that place imagined when we say the phrase, hell freezing over. You came to a place where the skiing experience is worse than your life choices. Before we even start talking about the resorts, we gotta talk about the heart and soul of what allows Tahoe to be so accessible. The glorious, soul-sucking stretch of asphalt known as I-80. I-80 is basically the dystopian sequel to I-70, with even more jackknife trucks, spinouts, and the occasional overturned Subaru. Forget the steeps of Palisades, Tahoe, Sugar Bowl, and Kirkwood. The real challenge is surviving the 12-hour slog through gridlock traffic while every other car on the road seems to audition for the freaking Winter Olympics. And then there's the snowfall itself. You've probably heard it called many things: Sierra Cement, Tahoe Tar. You might have even heard of its equally charming northern cousin, Cascade Concrete. Whatever you call it, this snow's got the consistency of wet drywall and superglue, turning powder days into a full-body CrossFit workout. Normally, as a skier, a snowstorm is something to get pumped about, but in Tahoe, you learn to dread it. Why? Because you never know if it's going to dump 10 feet of snow and trap you inside your home, pour down as rain, or hit you with some bizarre mix of both. Imagine you live on the East Coast, drop some serious cash to come out west for that legendary Tahoe snow, only to find the same sloppy mess you left behind at home. But hey, you're living the California dream, just with terrible snow and a bigger credit card bill. Let's talk about the classic locals debate, North Lake Tahoe versus South Lake Tahoe. North Lake is kinda like that one quiet rustic cousin who thinks he's better than you because he listens to indie music and knows how to make a decent pour-over coffee. The skiing's pretty good if you don't mind sharing the mountain with a bunch of tech bros who are only here because someone told them it's a vibe. Then there's South Lake Tahoe, where subtlety goes to die. It's literally the Vegas of ski towns. You've got neon lights and casinos because apparently skiing a blue cruiser at Heavenly isn't enough of a gamble. And sure, Heavenly has some decent skiing, but good luck actually enjoying it when you're sharing the gondola with people nursing hangovers from last night's all-you-can-drink special. So, North Lake, congrats on being too chill. South Lake, congrats on being way too much. Together, you're the perfect example of how Tahoe somehow offers the best of both worlds and still manages to be a hot mess. Alright, for the rest of this video, we're sticking with the Colorado Haters Guide format and we'll go resort by resort. This is going to be a rapid fire round, so buckle up. Diamond Peak. All I'm going to say is there's no way y'all are charging this much for a season pass. I could literally grab the Tahoe Value Pass for the same price and ski North Star, Heavenly, and Kirkwood all season long, each of which, let's be honest, are individually way better than you. And don't even get me started on your lifts. I want to know which absolute donkey thought it would be a good idea to require you to take a fixed grip lift to access a high-speed quad. It must have been the same genius who named one of your lifts Ridge. That's it. Seriously though, what's the point of that lift other than being an eyesore? All of its terrain is accessible from the crystal chair and it's literally never open. Spoiler alert, stuff never opening will be a recurring theme all throughout Tahoe. Tahoe Donner. You know, funny enough, our June's family actually owns a small cabin in the Tahoe Donner area. It's literally a 5-minute walk from the ski area, and yet, like everyone else in the neighborhood, we'd rather drive 2 hours south to Kirkwood or wait in a 4-hour line for Palisades. That should pretty much tell you everything you need to know. Sky Tavern. The ski resort that sits, quite literally, in Mount Rose's shadow. Calling yourself a ski area is questionable at best. It's like someone decided to throw a few lifts on a bunny hill, slapped the word ski area on it, and called it a day. And the terrain? Let's just say the whole place feels like it got Wizard of Oz straight out of the Midwest. Ugh, maybe I'm giving it too much credit. Kirkwood. The mountain known for its extremes, but yet it always gets overshadowed by the better steeps at Palisades. Ironically though, the hardest part about Kirkwood isn't even its chutes, it's the freaking journey you have to embark on to get there. If you're trying to get to Kirkwood on a storm day, I'd say you've got about a 5% chance of making it there. That drive is gnarly. Yeah, I'd rather take the odds of skiing once is enough backwards, if you know, you know. And once you do arrive, congratulations, your reward is experiencing lift infrastructure that feels like it belongs at the dollar store. Soda Springs. I've driven by you more times than I can count. Honestly, I just assumed you were some random hillbilly outpost with a gas station and a bait shop, not an actual ski hill. The fact that I only found out you existed 2 minutes ago pretty much says it all. Boreal. You're the hill that everyone passes to get to the better mountains. I have friends who had their gear stolen there, and from what I hear, it's practically a local tradition. Grab a lift ticket and lose your equipment. It's all part of the Boreal magic. You pride yourself on being one of the few Tahoe resorts with night skiing, but let's be honest, when your hill is the size of a postage stamp, skiing it in the dark doesn't exactly add to the excitement. Sure, you're affordable, but you get what you pay for, and that ain't much. Man, do I even need to say anything about this one? We were actually going to do a how we would fix it video on North Star. Midway through, we just stopped and said, yeah, this thing's literally unfixable. At this point, we'd have a way easier time cranking out Hater's Guide Parts 2, 3, and 4, and a full spin-off series, because even if it had a Deer Valley level master plan, which it doesn't, trying to fix North Star would be the equivalent of putting duct tape on a sinking ship. When the only thing North Star has over its competitors is not shutting down during storms, that's when you know things are pretty dang bleak. Hey man, we may suck, but at least we're open. Wow. Setting the bar low enough to trip over. I mean, seriously, if your standout feature is just not being worse than usual, maybe reconsider your whole existence. Enough said, go literally anywhere else. Donner Ski Ranch. I just gave Diamond Peak a hard time for their season pass prices. You're even smaller than them and charge the same price? Not to mention you face south and somehow you still have the audacity to act like you're prime real estate? I can't believe you're asking me to drop nearly $600 for a season pass to what feels like someone's crappy backyard sledding hill, especially when Sugar Bowl is literally right across the street. Grand Libakken. Look, if any of y'all know more about this place than I do, get a life. And, I mean, does anybody even know how the heck this is pronounced? Palisades, Tahoe. The birthplace of free skiing, the mountain where legends are made, you have so much going for you. But you decide to focus all your effort into building a freaking water park, because nothing says world-class ski resort like a lazy river in the middle of winter. And while we're at it, am I the only one who feels sorry for the Far East lift, sitting there like the awkward kid at lunch, away from all the other lifts? Honestly, just pack that thing up and ship it to Vail for their Mongolia expansion. Far East would fit right in alongside China Bowl, Chopsticks with an X, and Genghis Khan. Alpine Meadows. Gone, but never forgotten. Oh, how glorious the days were before the merger, when you were still your own little gem. But I guess it was meant to be. You and your neighbor have a real knack for coming up with some truly horrendous names. Hot Wheels? Weasel Run? Really? Because nothing gets me more stoked for a powder day like the thought of toy cars zooming around or chasing after a wild rodent. Speaking of powder, I almost forgot to talk about avalanche control. You guys really like to keep things spicy, don't you? Skiing at Alpine sometimes feels like playing a game of avalanche roulette. Is today the day the slope decides to slide? I guess we'll find out. At this rate, I'm half expecting you to rename a run Avalanche Alley in the near future. And while your better half over on the Palisades side has lots of nice modern lifts, I'm accepting bets on which of the buckets of bolts known as Roundhouse or Summit fails first. Alright, before we even start with Sugar Bowl, let's just recap a bit. We have the Palisades at Sugar Bowl, which are not to be confused with the Palisades at Palisades Tahoe on the Palisades side, which are not to be confused with the name Palisades Tahoe. And the Palisades at Palisades Tahoe on the Palisades side are different from the Palisades at Alpine Meadows, which is also Palisades Tahoe, but different from the Palisades at Palisades Tahoe on the Palisades side. The Palisades at Alpine are not meant to be confused with the Palisades at Kirkwood, which is different from the Palisades at Palisades Tahoe on the Palisades side, and the Palisades at Sugar Bowl. So, let me get this straight. Y'all collectively decided to name some of the best trails at your resort the fancy equivalent of the word cliff. Brilliant. Just brilliant. Now this situation was always stupid, even before friggin' Cliffs Tahoe came around, but Sugar Bowl really adds unnecessary fuel to this bonfire. Why, you may ask? Well, their Palisades opens, let's see, about once every decade or so. You may as well forget that it's even on the trail map. Yeah, you thought Silverado was bad? Nah, Sugar Bowl takes things to a whole nother level of don't even bother. Maybe Sugar Bowl should take a cue from Once Is Enough at Kirkwood and rename the Palisades to Never in Your Lifetime. That would save us all a headache. Let's run a fun little social experiment in the comments. Can anyone actually remember the last time the Summit lift spun? Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. Do people even know this thing exists? If you didn't, I would not blame you, because I'm pretty sure the last time it ran was during the Reagan administration. You know, now that I think about it, Sugar Bowl is basically like a knockoff version of Palisades Tahoe, except they apply the Silverado closure policy to about 75% of the mountain. I guess even having Disney in your investment history couldn't save you, although, given the current state of Disney, I guess I shouldn't be too shocked. Mount Rose. I see we're continuing with the theme of the good terrain not being open 99% of the time. Seriously though, outside of the chutes, which are barely open, I cannot fathom why anyone would come here. North Star and Heavenly do Groomers and Trees better, Palisades and Kirkwood do Extremes better. It's not like Mount Rose even does price that much better. Lift tickets here are just shy of $200. Apparently, Mount Rose treats their lifties so bad that even the corporate overlords at Vail come off looking like Employee of the Month material. This dude said it best. Mount Rose? Ha, more like Mount Blows, am I right? Oh, Homewood. Where do we even begin? You've truly outdone yourself these past few years. First, jacking up lift ticket prices to a whopping $279. Congrats guys, you actually managed to out-Vail Vail at their own game. $279 freaking dollars for the privilege of skiing a south-facing mountain most people didn't even know existed. For that price, I better be skiing straight into a luxury spa at the bottom with a bottle of vintage Dom Perignon waiting for me. Then you quickly realized that going private was a terrible ass decision, so you chickened out and tried to make up for it by announcing a freaking gondola, which, let's be real, is a straight up goddamn delusion. You thought you could go full VIP, keep out the riffraff, and cater to the elite to cover your costs. Obviously, not a single person bought this lunacy, so you backtracked, scrambling to save face with an insane gondola fantasy. What's next, $400 lift tickets to cover the cost of your new gondola? Oh wait, never mind. You're not even opening next season, and you're still clinging on to this gondola delusion. Are you insane? I gotta move on before I have a stroke. I owe y'all an apology. In our Heavenly Haters Guide video, I said, quote, I guess the folks at Heavenly thought looking at a lake wouldn't be nearly as cool as catwalking around one. Yeah, no, there's actually 2 lakes on this freaking thing. Talk about insult to injury. But let's add another gem to the list, the wind. The wind at Heavenly is next level nasty. It's so bad that in all my years of skiing there, I have literally never set foot on the mountain during a storm day. You don't come to Heavenly on a storm day to ski. You come for an all-day seminar on how wind can shut down an entire mountain. Which begs the question, why did you even show up in the first place? Ah, Sierra at Tahoe. The only ski resort that improved after a freaking wildfire. I mean, seriously, it's kinda sad that the thing you're best known for isn't your terrain, snow, or views, but this. You used to have some decent glade skiing, but that went up in flames along with your reputation after you hopped on the Icon Pass bandwagon, because clearly the new bowl terrain wasn't packed enough. I can't wait to see how well that's going to go for you. Get ready for lift lines longer than your recovery time. Hell, you might even catch the next wildfire before you make it up the mountain. Even though these two aren't technically in Tahoe, Bear Valley and Dodge Ridge always dreamed of becoming a Tahoe resort when they were kids, but they were never quite good enough. We figured we'd throw them a bone and feature them in this video anyway. Bear Valley. There's some pretty cool expert terrain in Grizzly Bowl. Too bad I aged 10 years before your ancient-ass lift finally drags me back up for another lap. And with those rock-hard cushions, by the time I'm at the top, I need a freaking walker more than I need skis. Your village terrain is one of the most irrelevant areas I've ever seen at a ski resort. Faces dead south, so it always has the worst snow conditions on the mountain. Part of why I ski is for the views. I'm not trying to ski past someone's condos like I'm on a Sunday stroll through a suburban cul-de-sac. Dodge Ridge. You know it's bad when your main selling point is that you're the closest ski resort to Central California. Newsflash, given that temperatures in Central California regularly hit 100 degrees, I'm not sure proximity is the best marketing angle for a ski hill here. I know I spent the whole intro complaining about Sierra Cement, but Dodge Ridge? That's just straight up Sierra crap. Dodge Ridge loves to push the idea that it's a hidden gem. Well, it's hidden alright. Hidden in the sense that nobody knows why you'd bother skiing there in the first place. Well, I think that about does it for this Haters Guide. If you made it this far, you might as well like and subscribe. While you're at it, go ahead and let me know of any other atrocities I missed down below. Another huge thank you to Snowstash for providing a majority of the footage we used in this video. You can check out his channel in the description. Thank you all so much for watching. All my love, I'm out.